Foremost means more. More training, more information, more ways to grow your business. Find out what Foremost can mean for you at foremostagent.com. Click on Foremost Means More.
Hank Greenberg has a new book out about the rise and fall of AIG. In this excerpt, we talk about some of the broader issues of the role of directors in a company and how long-term compensation is the best strategy for winning. Mr. Greenberg, you've been critical of the movement to install more outside directors on corporate boards, even before AIG got taken over by outsiders. I wonder, what do you think makes for a good board of directors? Is diversity important? And what should the relationship between a CEO and a board be?
Well, you can't paint with a brush and say there's only one way to do this. Before Enron, there was less, I think, concern about that issue. Yes, when you became a public company, if you were listed on the New York Stock Exchange, you had to meet certain standards of combination of inside-outside directors. After Enron, the corporate world changed. You had Sarbanes-Oxley came into being, and more recently, you have the Dodd-Frank bill. I don't think anybody has read the full text of the Dodd-Frank bill. It's huge. Nobody can understand yet fully what it means. But what happened after Enron, boards got concerned about their own liability. I think in the Enron case, many board members were sued directly. And so there was a shift in the balance between the management of a company and the board. I can tell you when we first started AIG, we had an inside board. We were a private company. We went public, and we had principally insiders on the board. They knew the company. They operated different parts of the company, were operated by people who were on the board. So it was a total knowledge of what was going on. Gradually, you're required to have more and more outsiders on the board. Now, the first people we had on the board in the early years, Barbara Conable had been the head of the World Bank. We had an ex-senator from Texas on the board. We had an ex-attorney general of the United States, William French, on the board. We had people who were global thinking people and understood that they didn't run the company. The management ran the company. You consulted with the board that when you had your meetings, and you brought them up to date always with what you were doing, and so they understood the strategies of the company. They were supportive. It wasn't a test as to who was doing what. They knew their role, and they knew what the role of management was. And obviously, it was pretty good. It worked for a long time. But after Enron, there was a change, and it wasn't for the good, in my judgment. It was not for the good. Every company is different, obviously. When you're running a global company in 130-odd countries, there are not many board members know very much about maybe 10 or 15 countries, but not 130. And so you have to rely on management. Management describes what the strategies of the company are. They keep a board advised. They see what the results of the company are. They know that the company is being audited by outside auditing firms. And they either have confidence or they don't, but they see the numbers and it's all, it's verified, it's verified. But that change became more dramatic in some states, New York in particular, when we had now a disgraced attorney general who had aspirations to be governor. and made life miserable for either management or some directors. So it changed. And I don't think it's for the good.
That you mentioned in the book, I think you just said that too many directors are concerned about their own liability.
That's exactly right.
And not about the company.
And it became a pattern that the directors wanted their own counsel. So you had to hire a lawyer of their choice to represent them. So it became we and they.
Is that one of the lessons you think of AIG, what they did there? And
There's no question about it. What happened when I left the company, Frank Zob, who turned out to be something less than I thought he was, hired Arthur Levitt, who had been the head of the SEC, and he was going to improve corporate governance at AIG. So he spent a year and then wrote a piece saying that AIG now had the best corporate governance in the country, of any company. While he was saying that, the company is sinking. Now, either he was a fool or didn't know what corporate governance meant. It's like the captain of a ship telling all the passengers you're on the safest ship afloat while it's sinking. That was Arthur Levitt.
You have long advocated, I believe, long-term compensation plans and rewards for employees at AIG. You had the SICO vehicle for that purpose. And never used employment contracts, as far as I recall reading. Why do you think long-term compensation is the best strategy? And is it still something that's useful today for attracting and keeping good talent?
Yeah, look, I believe that the people we wanted people to have a long-term view, commitment to what we were doing. Not for everybody. We didn't want everybody. We wanted the people who shared the same values that we did. I never had an employment contract. I refused it. And I had a plan. I said I would never take compensation of more than $1 million. You can pay me a bonus, but I don't want to. And the bonus has to be based on certain performance issues. And I participated in the what we call the SICO plan, which was not any cost to AIG whatsoever. Out of a private company that we did out of our own heart when we went public, we compensated many individuals in AIG based on performance. And that's what I thought it ought to be. It ought to be based on performance. If you don't perform, why should you be compensated more than what is reasonable?